Oh, I'm still in this box.
Oh dear.
Right, 6 o'clock. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of South Oxford District Council Community Governance and Electoral Issues Committee. I'm Councillor David Brotherton, and I'll be chairing this meeting. A few announcements. In the event of emergency, please evacuate the building by the nearest exit, which is in a corridor immediately to the right of this meeting room. Then go to 70.9 and the outside area beyond the fire exit. The Democratic Services officer present will assist you. For speakers and members of the public who join remotely, please ensure that your microphone is muted and that your camera is off for the duration of the meeting until you are called to speak. Speakers will have 3 minutes each and will be told when there is 30 seconds remaining of their time. Can everyone please ensure that their mobile phone is switched to silent or switched off during the meeting? Now back to the agenda. Apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chair. We've had apologies from Councillor Ken Arlett and Councillor Stephen Garashak is attending as his substitute.
Welcome, Stephen.
Thank you.
Minutes to adopt and sign as a correct record for Community Governance Electoral Issues Committee minutes of the meeting held on the 8th of July 2026. 2025, sorry. Already in 2026. So are we happy with that? Yeah. Thank you. Declaration of interest. To receive any declarations of disclosure of pecuniary interest with respect to items on the agenda for this meeting. I see none. Urgent business and chairman's announcements. Is there any urgent business?
No.
No. Public participation. Receive questions or statements from the public who register to speak. I have 3 registered speakers. 1 in person and 2, I believe, online. Yep, David remains there. Jill Bidoff. Yeah.
Nice.
We'll take the highlight.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good evening, everyone. I'm the lead of the Watlington Neighbourhood Plan, and I'm here to talk about the Watlington Boundary Review. So the request for the boundary review has come from the Parish Council, but it stems from the Watlington Neighbourhood Plan, which was made in 2018. The plan provided an integrated plan for growth that comprised a relief road for the town, together with substantial housing development. 3 sites within the Watlington boundary are providing 328 new dwellings, and there are 2 sites on the boundary, but on the Purton side of the boundary, which provide a further 169. This is 497 in total. The Purton sites obviously couldn't be included in the neighbourhood plan, but have always been understood to be Watlington developments, and are in fact closer to the town centre than the main housing sites, which are to the north and west of the town. Clearly, the sites which are just within the Purton boundary are not related at all to Purton village, either in scale or size. The 2021 census records a village community of only 101 households. Purton has been able to protect itself by providing a substantial green gap between the village and the relief road, with the new housing on the Watlington side. The relief road will provide a clear boundary between the 2 settlements. Paragraph 4 in the report before you includes guidance that anomalies can arise as a result of new housing developments. The Watlington Purton developments are just such a case and justify a boundary review. The report to the committee advises that consideration of the boundary change is premature and should be delayed until planning permission is granted for the relief road and for the second housing site. However, it doesn't give any up-to-date information about the status of the planning applications, and this is very important. The outline application for the development of 100 houses has been complete for a long time. All the legal agreements are in place, it's ready to go. It's only dependent on permission for the relief road for access to the highway and can proceed as soon as that's granted. The County Council has been working on the application for the relief road over many, many months, and it's finally nearing completion. The expectation is that it will go to the OCC Planning and Regulation Committee in April, following a final consultation on the most recent amendments. Planning permission is therefore imminent and will bring consideration of the proposed boundary
30
change
seconds
within the timescale of this review, the 12-month period. It's really important to get this right at the right time. The anomaly of Watlington housing developments being just outside the Watlington boundary should be corrected, and I'm asking you to agree to include the proposed boundary change in this review. The next review could be 10 or 15 years away. What is needed for good governance is an agreement in principle now, with the details confirmed when the relevant planning permissions are in place. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well timed. Absolutely spot on. Committee, are there any questions? I see none, so thank you very much for your time and presentation.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Steve Bolingbroke from Watlington Parish Council. I see you on the screen, Steve. You have 3 minutes when you start speaking, but can I ask, when you've finished, can you switch your camera off, please?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Jill's already made the case about the geographical reasons for the change in the boundary relating to our neighbourhood plan and the development of new housing. I'm speaking on behalf of the Parish Council. The Parish Council has been working very hard for the last 3 years to integrate the new developments into the town to ensure residents feel part of the community of Watlington. We've developed active travel plans, traffic management plans, we've developed facilities in the town for the new residents and so on. And we'd like to make sure we get ahead of the game with the new developments on the so-called Per 1 and Per 2 sites. We also want to make sure that those developments are properly planned to integrate them into Watlington, which is the natural home for those people. My final point is that the Per 1 site, Castle Gardens, which is on the Sherburn Road, which would be moved into the Watlington parish, is already occupied, and the residents who live there already look to the Parish Council for services. We get calls from them about helping with road repairs or speed limits or whatever it might be all the time. And those residents should be part of the Parish Council who is serving them. So I urge the committee to make this decision and not to put it off. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bolingbroke. Committee, any questions? Yes, Councillor Bolingbroke.
I just have one question. It may not be one that you can answer, but I wonder what the Purton Parish Council's view on this is, and what conversations you've had with that.
I think they need to speak for themselves. But I would note that in their neighbourhood plan, they have deliberately created a local gap to separate Purton Parish from this housing. They clearly don't see this as part of Purton. It will be part of Watlington.
Okay, thank you.
Chair, I could answer that.
Sorry, I can't, Joe. Okay, thank you. Mr. Bolingbroke, could you switch your camera off, please? Our last speaker is David Ruane. We're all familiar with him, and his face on the screen.
Good evening, Chair. I'm wearing my Didcot Town Council hat tonight. I won't keep you very long. You've had a submission from Didcot Town Council about the rewarding of the Town Council, and I wanted to add some flesh to it. It's obvious from the size of Didcot that it makes it necessary to divide the town into wards. This needs to be done to meet the technical requirements of electoral law, but also the requirements to have fair elections. Most members of this committee probably appreciate that first past the post system makes elections inherently unfair and would prefer a more proportional system, but that's not in our hands. What makes a system more unfair, though, is where the size of the wards are uneven. The town currently has one 6-member ward, 2 5-member wards, 1 4-member ward, and 1 1-member ward. So a member elected for Ladygrove, which is the largest ward, needs to get around about 900 votes to get elected, whereas the winning candidate in Millbrook was last elected with less than 200. The council can live with one anomaly, but the proposal in the paper creates more of these, including reinstating one orchard, which was abolished at the last restructure immediately before the last set of elections. These changes are proposed because of the requirement that county and district wards be made up of complete parish wards, and because the county has recently undergone boundary review. This boundary review means that there are 4 county divisions, none of which match the 3 district wards, even though they may have the same names. To avoid splitting parishes, parish wards, we have to create thin slithers of single-member wards, which account for the differences, rather than like the overlaps in a Venn diagram. Although this is technically necessary, we would dispute whether this is necessary at the moment. Since the proposals were suggested, local government reorganisation has appeared, with elections for a new shadow authority likely to replace the SODC elections in 2027. All 3 alternatives propose that the new authority under LGR will use the current county election divisions for these initial elections. So there will no longer be a mismatch between these and the district wards, as the district wards will no longer exist once the council is dissolved. It is likely that the new council would then request a boundary review, causing a set of divisions to be once more considered. Surely it's better to wait until the dust has settled on LGR before launching into a set of temporary changes, which will necessarily be changed before the next election. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Any questions? Councillor Gabriel, chat.
Just one question, David. So you were in favour of the status quo?
Personally, I don't see the point in changing it until everything else has been settled. The town council itself passed a motion that didn't seek to say either this or something else, but what it did say was the new proposals create too many one-member wards, and that would skew representation on the parish council. So, if you kept the current wards, then you would avoid that, but that's not the only way in which you could avoid it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, David. Right, that's agenda item 5. We'll move on to agenda item 6. And I think to start that off, I'll ask Stephen here to take us through what's going to happen next.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So you members have got a report in front of me that gives background as to how we got here. In that this committee asked us to write to all parishes last year, inviting any issues for a review, and they're before you in the report tonight. What I would say is that all we're asking the committee tonight is to agree what areas we should review. So we're not looking at the merits of the changes. So in answer to Councillor Barlow's question about Burton Parish Council would have lots of opportunity to, if that issue was to go for review, they'd have an opportunity, they would be directly consulted. So it's important not to get into the detail here tonight, because that will come as part of the review.
It's a long process.
We discussed earlier, Chair, we think the best way of dealing with this tonight is to go through the different sections. So the reports would have seen as for the different areas. We take each matter, which we as obviously tried to bring similar areas review under those headings, and then get the committee to agree whether they want it to go forward to review or don't, or indeed they want further information. So if we take the first,
can I just sort of just confirm what that means going forward for further review?
All right. So once this committee's agreed what matters to go for review, then officers will draw up the terms of reference in consultation with committee members and finally sign up in consultation with the chair. Once that those terms of reference are published, that kicks off the review. So that's likely to be towards the end of January, early February. And then as a council, we have to complete that review within a year. Obviously, in light of the elections in May next year, we would seek to undertake the review a lot quicker, because we have to draft orders and go to the Boundary Commission in case we have to request any permissions to implement anything. So
The review itself, once we agree the terms of reference, that means public consultation again. So everybody will have a chance to have another sort of comment on this we're taking forward. And then there'll be all feedback, and then we'll take it to the next meeting, which is taking all that public consultation into account and decide, yes, we're going to do that, or no, we're not going to do that.
yeah, so your next meeting, you as committee will come up with draft proposals. They would be consulted on, and then you come back to the committee and your final decision is the final decision. Although obviously there is a right to appeal. If anyone
Because on and on.
if anyone thinks that the review has not
But it is fairly urgent that we get there before the elections in May, and of course in good time to before the elections in May next year. Not sort of we'll decide on the 1st of May and the elections are on the 5th.
Yeah, because there'll be a lot of work for the election team. Obviously,
So
there
there
are
are work to do.
changes
Yeah.
to implement that.
So if we go through it now, section by section, section A, B, C, D, and then we'll have a discussion on each section if we want it.
So section A includes 3 requests we've had from parish councils, being New Elm, Stoke Row and Woodcote Parish Council, all of which have requested an increase in the size of the parish, so the number of parish councillors. And as officers, we haven't looked at the merits of those, but we think it's something that should be taken forward and reviewed.
I'll just put it on for comment. Marky, yeah.
Can I just ask you, hopefully you know the answer, but one of my biggest concerns about a lot of the smaller parish councils is they have a lot of, councillors, places, but a lot of them don't even have elections. So these 3, if they were to increase, is there, has there been elections before?
That would be one of the matters that come before you next. So as officers, we bring that information to you at the next.
Right, because there's no point in going from 6 to 8 if they can't even fill 4.
I think we totally agree with that, but it's just taking it forward to ask that question. Stephen.
Well, I think as the parish councils have requested it, we should look at it. So
Yeah. So
yes, I certainly think we should look at it. But for a lot of, I know more about UELM than the other ones, but there we've had elections in the past, and sometimes we haven't had elections, and sometimes we've got just the right number, and sometimes we're rather short. But the reason why they want more is that smaller parishes, a lot of the councillors do the work rather than employ staff to do whatever needs doing. And they need more people to spread it around. The UM is slightly different to some other places. A lot of the housing and a lot of the people are actually in RF Benson. And for the first time for many years, we've actually got a representative from RF Benson, which is good. It used to be warded, and I never quite understood why it wasn't. It isn't. And in fact, we've got this silly business at the moment with, the county being divided, or is it on back at last? It oscillates anyway. Sometimes they put half of RAF Benson into one county seat, and sometimes it's half in another.
there isn't a request.
But that is another thing that will get sorted, hopefully, under local government review. But yes, we should certainly do this. I'm surprised this has to actually go for a review, and why we can't just grant these now. It actually got to be looked at.
Yeah,
I think that's just you've got to go through the process.
Okay, right. Let's go through the process.
So that's happy with that one. We'll go forward with that. Yeah.
So B deals with the matters that really started off the whole idea of this review. Their requests from Didcot, Henley and Tame Town Council to undertake reviews of the situation that occurred following the boundary review of Oxfordshire County Council. So as the report sets out, where a county division splits a parish or a parish ward, the boundary commission are required to establish great parish wards, and that's what's happened here. And in all 3 cases, the town councils are supportive of what arrangements will come in or would come into place for the May 2027 elections. as members would have seen in the report, the view of officers is that it's very unlikely, even if we were to undertake a review, that the Boundary Commission would change its stance on what they've already decided, because they're statutorily required to have established those wards. That doesn't mean that the committee can't agree to undertake a review, but I think agree that we as officers have to provide advice that we think it's very unlikely that we would get permission from the Boundary Commission to change those wards in time for May 2027. At the end of a 5-year period, we can do what we want as a district council. So we would. But then, of course, we've got the whole local government reorganisation, which adds, and I'd say that adds another issue for the Boundary Commission, because they may take the view that with local government reorganisation, these matters would be subject to review anyway post 2028.
Yeah. I've gone through mocking.
Thank you, Chair. I understand why the Boundary Commission are doing this, because they have to, but it will clearly say them. Chair, you said earlier it's a long process. We can make it quite short by sticking to the status quo, because we did this review prior to the 2023 elections, and we had the boundaries which were agreed, and with my Didcot Town Council hat on, so I don't know if I have to declare anything, but we, as Councillor Wayne, as one of the speakers stated, that the council opposes the new divisions and number of councillors, and especially the number of one-member wards. So we would be very happy to stick with the status quo. But I understand that we have to go through a process, and hopefully, if the Boundary Commission say we need to do this, that we can challenge and review. Is that possible? Or we'll put our case forward.
I think we've got to put our case forward, and they'll probably say we're too busy. But we're still going to put our case forward.
We'd have to put a committee would have to put forward a persuasive argument and evidence to support why, in all three or some of the cases, want to retain the existing.
It's an appropriate moment, but after the 2027 election, worth looking again. But I think for this one, it should be as we agreed in 2023.
You go back to the old setting. 7.
Well, the answer is yes. We should put these forward, and we should make a strong case in the Boundary Commission to actually preserve the status quo. I think there are 3 reasons why we should construct a strong case. Number one is that it's likely that after local government reorganisation there will be a new boundary review. We don't know, but that's speculation that there will be. So why change it? Why change it for that? No. The second thing is what David also alluded to, was the democratic deficit. I'll speak for Henley. To get elected in Newtown, which is, at the moment it's 8 and 8. It's nice and simple. Whereas after it's going to be 5, it's going to be 8 in the north, 5 in the south, and Newtown is 3 councillors, and the democratic deficit, the number of voters in that patch is very, very small. So therefore you would get elected differentially across the town. And the other reason is that all the parishes have unanimously asked us to do it. So we should definitely put this forward and make a very strong case for saying to the Boundary Commission, look, this is daft doing it for 3 years.
James, sorry.
Sorry, this may be a really dumb question. If we don't put these forward for review, what happens?
Well, I think that's worth saying, because people keep saying at the moment. Well, in the last election, say Henley had an 8-8, Tamar had an 8-8 split. In the next election, if we don't do anything, we won't have that. Right. Tamar will have a 15-1 split. So and if we don't do anything, that's what we'll get. Yeah. And we'll have the ridiculous thing in Didcot where there's 1-member wards and 10-member wards, and yeah, if we don't do anything, that is the situation moving forward. Yeah.
So it'd be the arrangements that are in the local government boundary push for England order that established the county divisions that were
Yeah, that
used
was
at
the
last
last one.
election. Yeah, so that order also had provided for parish arrangements for certain parishes and towns in Oxfordshire,
Mhm.
and they're due to be implemented in May 2027.
Yeah, sorry.
So by default, if we don't put it forward to review, we are saying we accept what's being recommended, and clearly the town councils are saying that you don't accept that.
Yeah.
So okay, that's easy.
Yeah,
That's exactly what it is.
yeah. I mean, to be honest, this is probably one of the reasons why we asked for it, is to do something about it. But you have to go through the process. Yeah, and I agree with Stephen. The boundary commissioner are going to say we're too busy, but I think it's up to them to say that.
Yeah, so to stress, we need, because it was provided for in that order, we need permission from the boundary commission to do something different. Within a 5-year period. After 5 years, the district council could just amend and implement irrespective of what the boundary commission provided for.
So if we ask for it, the review, but they say they're too busy, by default,
Well, we do the review,
yeah, but they can't.
and
review
then
it.
we would write, if this committee made a decision, for example, I take Didcot, for example, to maintain the wards as are now,
Mhm.
we write as district council to the boundary commission, setting out what this committee agreed and requesting they make an alteration. And then it'd be for their chief executive. If they agreed, they would make an alteration order. Basically nullifying what was in the 2025 order and agreeing with what's in our revised order.
Yeah, and this would only be for town councils. It would not be for district council elections. Not that there aren't any anyway, but it wouldn't be for them. Just be for the town council elections. So
Sorry, one more procedural question. The 5-year period you've explained, but what happens? I mean, we probably won't exist in 5 years' time. It's not impossible given that everything slips for that or other. But when does, from the new council's point of view, at what stage during their first 5 years of life do they start taking decisions like this?
They could start at any time looking at parish arrangements, community
Right.
governance arrangements. Yeah.
Okay, so it's the sort of thing the shadow authority can start looking at.
Yeah.
Thank you.
okay, I think we've all spoken in favour of going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Bottom of page 8, it says C, the request for alternative style.
So this is just for information, Chair, because we did receive a request from Long Whitson Parish Council to undertake a review with the purpose of adopting an alternative style. They wish to be known as a community council rather than a parish council. Legislation provides that parishes can undertake reviews in their own right and make those changes. We as a district can't make changes to existing parishes. So if we were creating a new parish, we could make an alternative style. But if it's an existing parish council, we can't. It's for the parish council to do. So we've informed Long Whitson Parish Council, and if they do make that change, then they're required to notify us, and we'll update our systems. But that's just there for information to let you know that.
So it's up to them to do it. We can't. So it's not for us to do. I think that's what I'm
That
saying.
was a question.
James,
Just out of interest, what is the difference? I haven't looked. I
think it's a good
just
question.
Googling it, but I thought you'd
It's
know.
just a name. It's just a name.
Just a name.
Yeah,
I think there is some confusion between parish councils and parochial parish councils in some people's minds. You've got to differentiate. The parochial council is part of the church, nothing to do with the parish, and this term parish gets confused. I think that's partly what it is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll move to D.
Move to
Request,
D.
yeah.
Yes, so you on D, the first request was from Watlington Parish Council, and you've heard 2 speakers tonight, and request to amend the boundary along the proposed relief road. You can also thank Mr. Bidwell for the updated information on the planning timeline. It's really, from an officer's point of view, because there was no planning permissions in place, our recommendation was that you should defer this until they were in place. Obviously, you would have heard the speakers tonight giving an update on the planning timetable. So advise the committee to take that into consideration as to whether you take this forward.
I think the two things now are going parallel, won't they? Yeah. So we look at paragraph 16 or 17 as a one-off. Are we content to take that forward? That's the.
Yes, I think it's very sensible to look at it. What puzzles me is the timing, because of the status of the road. But I think it might as well be kept in the review, because we don't want to set up another review, just because it's delayed by 2 or 3 months or whatever. And while I'm speaking, under paragraph 18, it says it makes sense for the playing field.
Can we
to stay
read
in
that
there?
one and come
Well,
back to it?
that presumably means you don't need to make a proposal to move it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Right.
16 or 17.
Yeah.
Are we content to take them forward?
I got a question.
Yes. Okay, James.
What does this mean in terms of resource for your team, Stephen? I'm just curious because we're saying yes or no, but I don't have a sense of what does that mean for you and how it stacks up with all the other work you do.
It's it's a lot of work. The reviews, there's a lot of consultation behind the scenes. We work with consultation team. There is a lot of work involved with these processes, in putting together the reports for each of the reviews and analysing all the consultation responses, and then obviously drafting the orders involving legal in those as well. We think we've got quite a year of elections this year.
So the timing could be quite good in that.
So, yeah, and we'd scheduled this, to be fair, we'd scheduled this in because this committee agreed that we would do a review prior to the 2027 election. So we had it in our project calendar, if you like. But I can't I don't think you can appreciate how much work there is that goes into these reviews. There is a lot of work behind the scenes. But the team love it.
So that's what you're here for.
Just a quick one. Yes, I think we should pop it forward. From my understanding, because I'm on OCC planning, is that within this timescale, the planning will go through. So therefore, it's worth keeping on the table.
Yeah, that's 16, 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, happy with that one. I think I'll turn over to Stephen again for 18 and 19.
Thank you, Chair. So this is a proposal that came forward from Beechwood Estates Company, but is supported by Purton Parish Council, and it's requesting we revisit a decision that this council made in 2014-2015 community governance review. So at that time, as you see on the papers, some land was moved from Purton Parish, the recreation ground, into Wallington to provide for the whole of the recreation ground to be in one parish area. Originally there was the playing fields in one parish, and then the pavilion was in Watlington. And you've got the justification that's set out in paragraph 18 there. Attached appendix C is the argument from Beechwood Estates why the council should revisit that, and I've circulated further communication towards the end of last week from the company as well. From an officer's point of view, we don't see any reason why the council should revisit a decision it made in 2014-15, and think that the arguments for making the change still stand. And again, at that time, council noted that rules around community governance review and neighbourhood plans were separate, and you could have separate decision. I think that still stands today. So our recommendation would be not to undertake this review.
Seven.
Before I make a comment on the broader thing, what is Beechwood's estate's rationale for doing it, for changing it?
I've read their letters and I can't work that one out either. And what they have, what interest they have, I don't know.
Without a good reason, I'm minded to agree with you.
Yeah.
Just leave it as is.
I don't know.
If there's no good reason, then no.
I don't think we're seeing anything.
Harry,
James,
There is a,
sorry, hang on, it's one at a time, Catherine. Got the James.
Just to follow up on what Stefan said, and this is to all of us really, I couldn't see what had materially changed in the last 12 years that means that we shouldn't go into review. That, and if anybody's made up in the reading, please tell me, but I couldn't spot what had changed materially.
No,
And I couldn't see anything which was suggesting any issues with the current arrangements.
Have we all received this letter from the Beechwood Estates?
I think we've already seen
Yes, we've all seen that. Okay, fine.
Okay, Margaret.
It's more of a procedural question, really. So we are going yes, no, maybe, let's defer or agree. So on this one, we say we disagree.
I disagree.
But do they have the power, or can they appeal or challenge that? Or can the parish council, etc., if they propose something and we as a committee disagree, do they have any comeback?
No, the council has the right to decide what's undertaken in the government's review.
So they can't appeal.
No.
I just want to know that.
It would only come at the end of the process if we agree to change. There's a right that if we hadn't undertaken consultation in a certain way. So.
James?
Just want to check again. I didn't see anything explicitly from Burton themselves. I saw that in the letters it said there's no objection from them, but there's not something written by the parish council, which to me I was putting quite a lot of store by compared to say what we've seen in these other cases, where not only it's been clear where they stand, but they've also come to talk to us about it. Yeah. Again, I'm up for people giving me feedback that that's inappropriate.
I think if we'd had a request from Burton Council, parish council, it would have been different. But all I've seen is Burton Parish Council, someone saying that Burton Parish Council have no objection to this change.
Exactly.
That's all I think I've seen. Yeah. So I think I hope we're saying we're agreeing with Stephen that we don't take this forward. Yeah.
Agree.
Oh, right. So she's now where we're now.
That's half your workload, Stephen. That's half your workload.
Half his workload.
A bit more of that.
Yeah,
Right, paragraph 20 then.
Yeah, so then follows a couple of smaller boundary reviews. So Sherburn Parish Meeting have requested a review of the boundary between their parish and Burton, with the intention provided for the whole of Sherburn, Castle Park being included in the one parish. Again, officers can't see any reason why that shouldn't be taken forward.
Agree with that
Consultation.
Yeah, agree. I think we're all agreeing with that one. Okay.
Agreed.
And then there's a matter that's been identified by officers in the team that there's currently a property that's separated from its neighbours. So we're proposing a review of the boundary between Clifton Hampden and Dorchester. And again, it's one property, that property will be consulted, and we'll obviously look at the impact on county divisions, district wards, parliamentary.
Which way is it? So you say, is it currently in Clifton Hampden and needs to go to Dorchester, or currently in Dorchester and needs to go to Clifton Hampden? Because it's not quite clear.
Well, it says that.
Yeah, it's currently Clifton Hampden.
It's not going to be a huge financial issue, is it? That one property, no. Okay, we've got that.
Might affect their council tax by a few pence.
Right, 22.
Yeah, so 22 is a joint submission from the Great Hazley Parish Council and Tame Town Council to amend the boundary between the two parishes. You will see from the submission, which is E. So we're reading that there's two phases to this. So in the officer's report, we recommended that we proceed with phase one, but suggesting that phase two, because there is no final planning commission, should be deferred to a future date. The submission from the parishes does say that the final decision got expected until the end of 27.
I don't know where that date has come from.
Neither do I.
It's not true.
No.
Yeah. I haven't actually asked the planning people where their planning application is yet. But I have seen the viability study and viability report for that planning application, which was the only thing they were waiting for. So the planning application should be determined in the next 2 months.
So in that case, I propose that they do the two together now. It's presumably a lot easier to transfer an empty field than something with buildings all over it.
Yeah.
And I think it will save work in future doing these two together. And I would just welcome the fact that the Tame Town Council and the Great Hazley Parish Council both agree on this.
Yeah,
It's a major plus point.
Yeah.
Grab it while it's there.
So we take both forward, we can bring up
Yeah.
information
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
next meeting.
Oh, what are we up to, Stephen?
Up to E, so it's the final request comes from Newman Courtney Parish Council. So for those members who have been councillors for a number of years, they'll be aware that we've had issues with Newman Courtney Parish Council in that we've had to appoint temporary councillors on at least 2 occasions and Democratic Services actually had to run the parish council for a period of 6 to 8 months in the past because there were no councillors and no clerk. We managed to get them up and running again, but as you would have seen at Appendix F, the clerk has written they are very much of the view that there is no future for them as a parish council and have therefore asked the district council to undertake a review to consider whether they continue as a parish council. And if you could conclude that, whether they're more viable as a parish meeting or whether they combine with a neighbouring parish or parishes into a grouped parish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've got to take it forward because we're going to do something. Yeah. There is somewhere, I can't remember exactly where, there's something somewhere in there that's they already cooperate with the Baldens in many issues. So that may well be the solution. But obviously the Baldens Parish Council have to be consulted on that. So it's got to be an agreement. Yeah. But this is a matter of taking it forward to see what options there are. Yeah. James.
Well, sorry, what Catherine's point was.
If I may.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that concerns me about this from an Oxfordshire Association of Local Council perspective is we should not, under any circumstances, be encouraging the creation of a parish meeting. They're not viable. They are a feudal relic of something or the other, which the National Association would actually like to get rid of. What we'd like to see is where there are groups of parish meetings that they come together to form a proper parish. In the case of, I mean, the Park of Newham has said about the reasons for the pickles they get themselves into is, makes perfect sense, and actually merging with a local parish makes very good sense. In this case, because Malden, the Malden's got an electorate of just in excess of 300, and in the case of Newham, it's about 190. To make themselves viable, that they would do well to think about merging, and possibly also to talk to Sanford, and because we're going to need parishes to be a bit more, viable in terms of their status under local government reorganisation. These little tiny entities just aren't going to flourish at all, and we certainly should not be accepting parish meetings as a viable option because they aren't.
I tend to agree. I was just going to say one of the options would be to a parish meeting, but if the parish council's not viable, is a parish meeting viable?
No, but I think that in terms of viability here, the only viable option they've got is to join with at least one other parish.
Yeah.
Not to form a parish
I
meeting.
think that's what
They've
we're
already
saying.
said they
Go
would.
forward and look at that, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other comments? So,
Another procedural thing. Yes, I mean, I totally agree with what Catherine's just said about the need for stronger parish councils going forward once we've got the new unitaries in place. Just for sheer numbers of councillors who are able to put some time into doing anything. So at what stage do we need to start looking at other smaller parishes within our district? I mean, the one that comes to mind is Purton and Sherburn, both really quite small, and actually a joint parish there makes very good sense if you look at the geography.
Yeah.
Is it possible to do that while you're looking with, rather than redividing Purton and Sherburn, but putting them in together?
Well, we wrote to all parishes inviting and setting out what community governance do. So we've very much taken the view it should be parish community led. Back in 2014, we were more proactive and said we were looking to merge parish meetings, and council at the time withdrew that proposal because of the outcry from communities. So it may be something look at after local reorganisation, because we're being a completely different world.
should it be a point that we ask, for instance, Purton and Sherburn if they might consider that? They might say, go away. But could we ask them?
But it's not for us to ask.
I don't know. I don't know what's the question.
I don't think it is.
Who else would know?
Yes.
So,
There is, parish councils have their own union. It's called the Oxfordshire Association of Local Councils. The OALC is very keen to encourage this sort of reorganisation at the moment. And one particular example is a little place called Swerford, which is a small parish surrounded by parish meetings. It is very much in their interest to get their act together and come together as a form a new entity. The only problem with OALC is it's a very small team, and it's a large county, and it is highly parished. I mean, Oxfordshire is quite unusual in some sense in being quite well parished. So there's quite a lot of work to do, but it's very, very clear that a lot of this sort of thing needs to happen. And I'm from now, because I'm on the various committees in now, other parts of the country, the same thing is being seen, and it's all sorts of reasons. Sometimes it's because it is difficult to get people to stand up for election. Sometimes it's because you're just not viable. If you don't have enough electors, you can't even afford to pay a clerk properly. If you don't pay a clerk to do the work, you are not actually running legally, because it becomes impossible. So there's lots of reasons why we should be doing this. But if we're going to look at this, then SODC needs to start to work with the Association of Local Councils. That is my humble submission. I mean, the fact that it doesn't is not helpful to parishes, to towns, or to us.
Second, the point from this meeting point of view is we put out to all parishes, do you want to? And the ones that said yes, we want to, are here. And anyone who hasn't said we want to, forget it. But they've just at the moment, and it's for others after this process to encourage that other parishes are, and that will come after the local government.
Yeah, I totally agree with what
we can't now sort of say to all parishes, oh, do you want to think again? No,
we can't.
We've started the process.
Yeah.
So we can't.
Yeah. I think it's going to be down to the new council to really,
and it should be bottom up. It should be the parishes and the towns like Henley have said, look at it. So it's got to be for them to say, look at it.
James.
So just listening to what's been said, which is really informative and helpful, I'm imagining that during the conversation with, say, Purton and Sherborne about the Castle Priory, that could be dropped into that conversation at some point in a prudent way. Perhaps there might be a longer term solution to this, which is slightly different to what we've thought about at the moment. Because, of course, sometimes we can't ask for something that we don't understand, and sometimes we don't feel like we've even got the capacity to ask what we don't understand. So we never put ourselves forward to things. So it sounds like out of this, there's at least one opportunity to do as you're suggesting, Catherine.
Yeah, I think.
And without us overstepping them up, which is I think what we're concerned about
I
as well.
think this was the last opportunity we've got to actually try to sort things out before the next elections. Yeah. I agree with what Catherine's saying. A lot of these parishes are probably need to amalgamate and be joined together or whatever. I don't think that's our job. Yeah. But and it's going to be down to the next council, whoever that is, to actually do that. Government won't do it because government don't even know what parishes are.
No, they don't.
Or districts.
Yeah.
They don't understand.
They don't have parishes. Yeah, they don't have parishes.
Just think what we think.
Okay, government is too busy running the country.
They don't have parishes, so they're not aware of it. Yeah. Okay. Terms of reference, which is the next stage.
Yes, so we as officers will go away and draw up a document that reflects the committee's decision tonight and put in some dates, etc., and then circulate it for comment amongst the committee, and then final sign off by Councillor Brenton as chair, and then we will pick a time to publish that, as I said, towards the end of January, February. That'll start the process.
So just from my understanding, this will go out, terms of reference will be agreed, then what's the next process and what's the timescales?
We will have to come up with some dates. So we'll publish terms of reference that invites views on these matters. So the terms of reference will include links to useful information so people can inform themselves. During that period, we as officers will be starting working up, looking at evidence such as was mentioned, looking at parishes that want to increase their size, see what elections they've had in the past, looking at their council to electorate figures using the NELP and guidance on those matters.
Your terms of reference then will put points in the sand when things have to be done.
Yeah, we'll put in dates for when this committee will meet together and agree draft proposals, and then when this committee will meet to do final, it calls final proposals, but the final decision. And then we as officers will go away and draft the relevant orders and undertake any communication with the boundary commission that may be necessary.
Okay. Can I ask one question? Because I was involved in a boundary review quite a few years ago, and it went to council for final approval. Does this have to go to council, or is it?
No, in 2014-15, we did a huge review. As part of that review, council agreed to establish this committee and delegated authority. So what we would keep all councillors informed. So as you see tonight, all councillor anyone addressed you. So all.
Oh yeah. I just want to be sure that it's not the final decision rests
with
here.
this committee.
And then everybody be aware of when this committee is going to meet to make those final decisions. And if they want to input, then they need to make that input to this committee. Yeah. But this is the final decision at this point, which is good, I think, actually, because otherwise it just just goes on and on, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay. Right. Anything else we need to talk about?
Officers' point of view, I think.
Anything else? No. Okay. Thank you. We'll close the meeting. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, officers.
Thank you. Thank you, Anthony. Thanks, Stephen.